Called out Nikki Haley's daughter for using TikTok. She then called you scum. Why did you go after her family and her clothing? No woman's going to like that.
Well, I'm going to tell you, she called me four-letter words in each of the last two debates, Stuart. The reality is this. The Republican Party has appropriately, I think, had scrutiny of Hunter Biden for years. I mean, you know, not only the media, but even Republican politicians correctly. In the last debate, she is actually saying that she said, I feel dumber every time I hear you speak. That's what she said, for using TikTok. The criticism wasn't of Nikki Haley's daughter. It was of Nikki Haley for being completely oblivious to where the next generation of Americans is actually getting their information. So my view is that we do better by showing up. Nikki Haley wants to go the way of censorship. I want to go the way of free speech. She wants to go the way of withdrawing from talking to young people. My point is, young people, even in your own family or on that next generation platform, we need to talk to them directly. Okay. She's on the other side, Nikki, is of this generational divide, and that's what I was pointing out.
All right, guys. So apparently Fox News has hired feminists, okay? That or they've gone full-blown MSNBC, probably both, okay? Because this episode of Outnumbered, this segment right here with Tammy Bruce and the rest of the feminist panel here, is going to go into full-blown meltdown mode over the fact that Vivek Ramaswamy gave Nikki Haley a taste of her own medicine during the GOP debate, okay? He went after Nikki Haley. He called out Nikki Haley after Nikki Haley repeatedly attacked him in prior debates. Vivek Ramaswamy just gave her a taste of her own medicine, right? Gave her the fight that she was looking for, treated her equally, okay? Treated her as if he would treat any man. And now the woke feminists on Fox News want to boohoo, whine, cry, and get triggered by Vivek Ramaswamy's comments. Now, the reason why I'm doing this video, because I want you guys to understand, even in conservative media, right, like Fox News, you still got to realize they're still a part of the legacy media. And the legacy media is, they're left, right? They're left, okay? Especially when it comes to this issue of gender and gender roles. And again, this segment right here I'm about to show you guys from Fox News is exactly what I'm talking about. As it is a prime example of how women don't want to be held to the same standards as men. They don't want to, okay? They don't want to be criticized, right? And also the legacy media, instead of talking about the substance of Vivek Ramaswamy's criticism against Nikki Haley, they're actually trying to make her a victim simply because he said things about her gender when her whole campaign is built off gender, right? So again, I'm going to talk about it because the hypocrisy here is stunning. And again, I cannot believe that this is what Fox News is platforming, right? Full-blown feminism. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels.
All right, Mr.
In which case, we've got two of them on stage tonight.
They're 5-inch heels, and I don't wear them unless you can run in them. The second thing that I will say is I wear heels. They're not for a fashion statement. They're for ammunition.
Does anybody know what that means, right? My heels aren't a fashion statement. They're for ammunition. What does that mean? Seriously. I mean, does that mean she's going to, send it to Ukraine, right? Send it to Israel, okay? I'm just saying, if that's the case, since, Israel can have everything, right? We give them whatever they ask for, right? If Israel asked for $1 trillion, Nikki Haley would give it to them, right? According to her, okay? She should be giving up her whole closet, right, full of heels and sending them to Israel, right? If her heels are actually ammunition. That's exactly what she should be doing since, they need it so much and Ukraine needed so much and Taiwan needed so much, according to her.
Made fun of me for actually joining TikTok while her own daughter was actually using the app for a long time. So you might want to take care of your family first.
Leave my daughter
preaching
out
to
of your
anybody else's
voice.
adult daughter. The next generation of Americans are using it. And that's actually the point. You have her supporters propping her up. That's fine. Here's the truth.
You're just
Lily, some critics are sort of arguing that what we saw just then was the sort of juvenile display that people think Vivek encompasses. And that while he says, Dick Cheney in heels, the reality is he doesn't have the gravitas that right now this country needs as we talk about strength mattering and deterrence mattering. Behind that requires a strength, an experience, and a gravitas that perhaps he doesn't have that Nikki Haley seemed to call out a bit.
That's right. I think he was going after the soundbite, and clearly we were playing it. But ironically, the one son of immigrants and minority on the stage who preaches that identity politics is not what we need to do, he went there with one of his own colleagues. We know already that gender dynamics, should not be used as a weapon. Now we know that heels are for ammunition and not for fashion. So at least the record is straight on that. But it's gonna, actually, this served Nikki so well. She now is seen as a fighter. She was ready to fight for her daughter and represent many of us women that, whether it is in the workplace, in a boardroom, or on a debate stage, many times get judged over our looks, and she stood above that. So I actually appreciate, ironically, that very low moment on Vivek, because we got to see a different side of Nikki Haley that I think the country is appreciating today.
Wow, that was like a minute and a half of delusion garbage if I've ever seen it, in hypocrisy, which again comes along with the garbage, hypocrisy, because that's what it's built off of. You know what's so funny about this? First and foremost, nobody tried to paint Vivek out to be the victim when Nikki Haley said that he sounds dumb, or he sounds dumber every time he talks, right? When Nikki Haley was hurling attacks at, Vivek Ramaswamy, nobody was trying to make Vivek Ramaswamy out to be the victim. Oh, well, Vivek Ramaswamy looks like a fighter for standing up to Nikki Haley. You didn't get those takes, right? But because Vivek Ramaswamy is going back at Nikki Haley with what I believe to be fair game, because her daughter is not a teenager. She's not a child. Her daughter is a grown woman. And Nikki Haley is criticizing Vivek for being on TikTok when she has people in her own family, okay, her immediate household that are on TikTok and using TikTok, okay? I'm just saying. So with that being said, again, it's so funny how they want to try to make Nikki Haley out to be, again, some type of victim when this is what she asked for. She asked for this type of criticism, right? And if she's such a strong woman, which is what her whole campaign is built off of, being a strong woman that's a warmonger. That's why she's so pro-war, because it gives her a false sense of strength, right? I'm a strong woman. I'm not afraid to go to war and to stand up to Putin. But yet, she can't even stand up to Vivek Ramaswamy, right? Because she definitely did not look like a fighter in that clip. She looked like somebody that got frustrated. He clearly got under her skin. Clearly. Now, again, the hypocrisy here is that this woman is talking about, well, you're not supposed to use gender politics, right? You're not supposed to use gender politics. When, again, Nikki Haley's whole campaign is built off gender politics. In fact, at one of the debates, she said this line right here, okay, criticizing men and basically implying that she is a better leader because she's a woman, because she allegedly has a vagina. Take a look.
Hold on. Governor Haley, would you like to respond? Are you
so
bought
Brett,
and paid
what
for?
I would like to say is the fact that I think this is exactly why Margaret Thatcher said, if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman.
So again, when Nikki Haley uses gender politics in order to imply that she's a better leader or that she's more qualified because she's a woman, oh, that gets applause. We're supposed to praise that. Strong woman. But when a man says something about Nikki Haley's heels in criticism of her foreign policy, which again, his criticism is actually substantive. Unlike Nikki Haley's gender politics, her gender politics is not substantive. She's not talking about any policy. The point that Vivek is making is that, yeah, she's a warmonger, right? She's Dick Cheney in heels. She's Dick Cheney in a wig, okay? She's Curry Bush Jr., right? That's what she is. Oh, well, that's sexist, right? That's sexist for him to say something about your heels. For him to say something about what a woman wears. Again, it's just amazing. Because here we are once again. Women don't want to be held to the same standards as men, right? When men give women what they ask for, which is equal treatment, they boohoo, whine, cry, melt down, and want to play victim. But again, a woman has free game to use whatever tactics she can against the man, and you can't criticize it. You can't say anything about it, right? You can't, or else you're a sexist. You're a bigot. Amazing.
You had a town hall last hour. What did you learn from the voters?
So I was just going to say, at Voters' Voices, they had a slightly different take on this. First of all, there was some, disbelief that Nikki Haley wasn't given the opportunity to immediately respond to that, whereas others who were attacked on the stage seemed to be. I don't know. We're not inside that debate hall at that moment, at that debate host table, so who knows what was going on. But that was one criticism. The other was that Vivek got up under her skin. And one voter mentioned this. He's an independent voter, I believe. He said, look, if that's what it takes to get under Nikki Haley's skin, what's it going to be like if she becomes president and things get more complicated and there is so much more pressure on her? So
Facts. Again, to the average person, right, that is not looking at it through a feminist mindset, right, or not trying to be on team Nikki Haley because you want a strong woman in office, she didn't look like a strong woman. She didn't. She looked like a woman that got emotional, right? Which is, part of the arguments that men use to, basically say, well, this is why women should be in leadership. Which, again, should be fair game, right? Because Nikki Haley can use gender-based arguments to argue why she is a better qualified candidate than men. So men should be able to say the same thing, right? But we do know if a man ever said that Nikki Haley's display of emotion, her not being able to control her emotions on stage, is exactly why women should be president. Again, would that be cool? Would that be okay? Of course not, right? Of course not. But again, it's true. If it's that easy to get under her skin, how is she going to handle somebody like Putin, right? How is she going to handle Xi Jinping? How is she going to handle Kim Jong-un? How is she going to handle facing other men who are not going to be as nice to her as Vivek was? Because I think Vivek was very nice to her. Because I would have said worse, right? I would have said worse. I would have went full Trump. You a nasty woman, right? You a nasty warmonger, okay? Trump has said worse things about women on stage, right? So I'm just saying, she didn't look like a strong woman, which again, they're never actually held to that standard. They're never actually expected to be strong women, okay, and to act like a man, right? They're never actually expected to do that. They just get the praise and glory of being a strong woman without ever having to actually be a strong woman, right? They don't actually really have to do that, okay? Because anytime they get attacked, anytime they get treated like a man, they're automatically given a victim card, which is what's happening to Nikki Haley. The whole media is trying to treat her as if she's some type of victim, but at the same time, they're trying to convince us that she's a strong woman because she's a war hawk, right? She's a warmonger. Again, I haven't figured out what makes Nikki Haley so strong outside of her wanting to fight every war that she actually never has to fight herself. She will never pick up a gun and go fight a war overseas ever, right? She won't do that. Her daughter's not going to do that, okay? She's not doing that. So again, I'm trying to figure out what makes her so strong. What makes her a fighter outside of her just being given that label simply because she's a woman running for a leadership position.
So there are two ways to look at this. And I thought that was, always worth listening to the voters' voices because the polling and all this sort of reaction goes away when they step into that booth or vote at home by ballot or whatever they're going to be doing. They make that choice. And we need to know what they're thinking.
I was saying there was that brief moment where the camera is on both of them and you could see on Nikki Haley's face that that Vivek got to her.
Terrible body language, right? Terrible body language. I mean, classic rolling the eyes like a woman, making crazy faces. Like clearly. I mean, she was heated. Okay, she was heated. Okay, she was about to crap her panties, right? That's what she was about to do on stage. So again, I'm trying to figure out, how do you come to the conclusion that Nikki Haley is so strong and she's such a fighter, given that she had a full-blown meltdown on a national debate stage because Vivek Ramaswamy called out her hypocrisy? But again, Notice, the conversation is never about the substance. It's not about the actual criticism of Nikki Haley, which is why does she want to fight every war, right? It's never about that. And the reason why is because they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about the actual policy and the reason why Nikki Haley is getting the criticism that she's getting. No, they want to make her out to be a victim so that they avoid that. Don't discuss the merits of wanting to fight and fund every single war and to send Americans overseas to die. Don't do that. No. Let's actually talk about how Nikki Haley's a victim because she's a woman and she got criticized by a man. It's ridiculous.
Well, with the
let me
daughter
address
in
this. May I address this? I remember when Dukakis was asked during a debate how he'd feel if his wife was raped. It was a conversation about that. And he got slammed for being really kind of stoic about that. The fact is, women are expected to have a different kind of approach. We're not used to being seen in power. We're not used to being seen as aggressive. That's why there's fewer women in talk radio, because even the way we speak is usually a bit more nuanced as opposed to direct. So now people see, and it needs to be more often, a woman in that position reacting as any man would react and not be criticized in the same manner. When it was getting under her skin, she didn't like what she was hearing, especially when her daughter was brought into this.
That's what did it.
I would expect that woman or any parent to be aggressive, leave my child out of this. I want that kind of connection emotionally and also intellectually about what's appropriate and what is not within the framework of discipline. That's why these debates are so important, because you see a frat boy who's perhaps auditioning for a television show, which he may get, versus a woman who's a diplomat and a politician who can be the president of the United States. So brava. And like with this panel here, you hear women with different approaches, different styles. And yes, sometimes we'll get blushed because we get angry. Sometimes we'll just be direct.
I want to get this.
It's all bullshit, right? Because this is just feminist hypocrisy. That's exactly what it is, right? These same people are using an argument that I can use to say, well, we shouldn't talk about Hunter Biden, right? Again, where were these women criticizing Republicans for bringing up Hunter Biden, right? Because if the criticism is that, well, you can't bring up her kid, right? Her child, which again, her daughter is a grown adult, just like Hunter Biden is a grown adult. I'm pretty sure these women on Fox News would not go out there and say, oh, well, Republicans should leave Hunter Biden out of it. That's Joe Biden's child. Again, that's the argument they're making when it comes to saying that Vivek Ramaswamy can't bring up the fact that Nikki Haley's daughter is on TikTok, which clearly is an issue because Nikki Haley's daughter deleted the TikTok. She deleted it. So clearly Nikki Haley knows that it's not a good look, that it's hypocritical. But again, anything that Nikki Haley says to Vivek Ramaswamy is fair game. But any criticism that Vivek Ramaswamy levies at Nikki Haley is not. It's not. It's sexism. It's bigotry. Right? But again, my main point is that the media, this is what they do to distract from talking about the real issue with Nikki Haley. Okay, and the neocons. They don't want to talk about the merits of the forever wars, right? Spending tons of money, trillions of dollars on wars that's run up the debt, the deficit, right? They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the actual criticism. Instead, they deflect and they want to talk about things that don't matter, like, oh, he said something about her heels. Oh, he said that she was Dick Cheney with a wig. Oh, he said her daughter uses TikTok. None of that has anything to do with the actual argument, the substantive criticism that Vivek was levying against Nikki Haley. None of it. But again, this is what they do to protect people like Nikki Haley. And then they want to convince you, well, Nikki Haley's so strong. She can stand up to men. But yet, you're out here defending her as if she's helpless. As if, she's the victim. She's not. If Nikki Haley's so strong, she doesn't need people to come out here and to defend her like this. Because she should better stand up for herself as a strong woman. But again, this is a distraction from the real policy debate. Vivek's point about Nikki Haley is that she's a warmonger And that is what we really should be talking about, and not this, which is what Fox News is doing. They're pulling their best MSNBC, right? This is like The View, right? I felt like I was watching The View listening to that. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.